All right, I think it's time for us to start. And nice to see you all here. And welcome to international students, graduates, and whoever is here attending this webinar. It's great to see you all here and hope you all are having a great day. And this is basically an awareness session where we look at what are the do's and don'ts post-study completion and what to keep a note of in terms of your status and what not to miss out on. Basically, we'll discuss those kind of things. And if you have any questions, leave your questions in the chat and we'll go through them in the end. All right. And so okay, so I'm just going to introduce myself before I start. So my name is Liz Mathew. I am a licensed Canadian immigration consultant, RCIC, and the owner of Yoke Immigration. So we are a full-fledged immigration firm, and we do all kind of immigration services, be it from parents' visitor visa up to business immigration and all sorts of immigration-related services we do provide. And also, what is the content of this session is basically first we'll be talking about what to watch out for after the studies is completed. And secondly, we'll be talking about the post-graduation work permit. And then we'll also discuss, I'll give you some final thoughts on this. And then if you have any questions, we'll discuss it later on. So international students, you usually come into Canada either for different course types, different course models. You come in for either for a one-year course. Some people come in for a 1+1 course. So which is 1+1 course is first course is taken, after which you are enrolled for a second course. And you receive a 2 completion letters after both the courses are taken. And then the third type is the straight 2-year course program, where you receive the completion letter in the end. And students who take the second course, right after the completion of their first course, they need to ensure that the second course is starting within 150 days of receiving a written confirmation of program completion. That's very important to note that the gap in between should not be more than 150 days from your first course completion getting into your second course. And also, you're also eligible to work during this time as per your study permit condition. So if your study permit condition allows you to take up off-campus jobs, yes, you'll be able to work during that time between the first course and the second course, but make sure that 150 days is kept in mind. And however, if your new course starts after 150 days of your previous course completion, what you'll have to do is basically you'll have to change your status, because 150 days is all what Canada allows you to be on between. And if it is courses, the second course is taken after 150 days of your previous course completion, you'll have to change your status either to visitor or to a work permit status, or you'll have to leave Canada and then come back and take your second course. That's what it is. And after you change your status, you may resume your studies using your previous study permit if it's still valid. And it's very important to note that your permit status is valid all the time, as you know how important your study permit is. because your permit is what gives you your status in the country. And also another point to be noted in regards to work-wise is during the study and when to stop studying. When to stop working. So a student allows you to work 20 hours per week, part-time hours. And there are some exemptions that are in place right now where you can work full-time hours, and that's only up to April 30th of 2024 this year. So, but the day you receive the study completion letter, you have to stop working. If your study permit, even if your study permit is valid, as the work is allowed only if you are a full-time student. And so I just have to repeat this again, that part-time students and study completed students are not allowed to work on their study permit unless they'll only be able to resume it only after they apply for their postgraduate work permit. And you can stay in Canada on your study permit, even if it's valid. However, you won't be able to work. That's something that needs to be noted. And as we just discussed, the postgraduate work permit can be applied. A student is eligible for postgraduate work permit after studies. And if a student is eligible for postgraduate work permit, there are certain eligibility criteria for a student to be eligible for postgraduate work permit. A 1-year course student will get a 1-year postgraduate work permit. A 2-year course student will get a 3-year postgraduate work permit if they studied in a postgraduate eligible program. Not all programs do get postgraduate work permit as per the new rules that came out. So that's something to be watched out for. So, and it has to be applied. The postgraduate work permit, we have to apply it 150 days after you graduate to apply for postgraduate work permit. That is the maximum limit. But as I just mentioned to you, you have to stop working as soon as your completion letter is received from your college. And then you can only resume work after you apply for your postgraduate work permit. That's very important to be noted of. You might, in most cases, you might get your postgraduate work permit with no issues, but when your PR time comes, if you have overworked or if you have worked during your time after your completion letter was received, you might run into problems at that time. And then you must submit either the documents that you need to submit for your postgraduate work permit. You will need your documents such as your completion letter from your college, your transcripts, your degree or diploma certificates from your college. You will require that. And postgraduate work permit can only be applied once in a lifetime. So students who are taking the 1+1 course got to watch out for, like after your first course, if you do apply for the postgraduate work permit, you will not be able to apply for it again right after you take the second course as well. So you got to make sure the timing is right. And you only get the postgraduate work permit up to your passport validity as well. So just to wrap up, and some final thoughts I have to share right now is that, one of the main things for a person who is on a study permit status is always make sure that your status is maintained while in Canada. As falling out of status, most of the time puts you at a high risk. And risk means in some cases, there's no way out. And then the only option in some cases is just to leave the country because you have already passed your expiry date and the restoration time. So there is no time, there's no way out other than to leave the country. That's what I said. So always make sure that having a status maintained in Canada is very, very important. I can't stress that more enough. And also you've invested a lot coming into this country. And so keeping a track of your expiry dates of your study permit, work permit, passport validity is very essential. And Also, most of your goal coming into Canada is permanent residence, as you all know. And the situation in Canada is quite difficult right now, getting a PR, because they've put in a lot of restrictions, but there are still options that are available. It's like not all doors are closed. There is options out there, and you might be hearing all around you all kind of options, like let's move provinces, let's get into an LMIA, let's apply for a refugee. But all these solutions are not the solutions that are suitable for everyone. So some people are eligible, some people are not eligible. Sometimes that's not even a right program for you. So it's all about choosing the right program and get into your PR way out right from the time when you are in your study status. Don't just wait until you get into work permit before you think about, okay, which is the program I might be off and what are the criterias and so on. And so that's all I got to say. I'm hoping that we have some kind of questions that you have typed out in the chat. So we will only be looking at relevant questions for now. And you can always reach out to us with your questions after the session, and we'll be happy to help you. And our contact details are right there on the slide. Can one stay on a valid visitor's visa after a postgraduate work permit is expired? Well, if you'd like to stay on an visitor visa and a visitor record, there is two different things. So the visa is something that is in your passport that you get. Like when you come on a study permit, you get a visa but that's just a travel document. You'll need a visitor record basically to, stay on an extended period inside Canada. So that's something that you need to watch out for with the right documents. Hopefully I answered that question. And another one says, are we eligible to apply for PR while waiting for postgraduate work permit? Definitely. That is a definite answer. I'd say yes. So if you are eligible for the PR program, even during a study status, there are programs that are available that you will be able to apply for PR. So that is an option and you should check it out. Another question I got here is how soon you can apply for a postgraduate work permit. Is it immediately after the last day of school or only after receiving the course completion letter? Course completion certificate. Well, you need your course completion certificate. You need documents, as we discussed, to apply for postgraduate work permit. You can just apply for postgraduate work permit without getting your documents from your college, as we discussed, either your certificate, your degree or diploma certificate, or your completion certificate or your transcript. You need documents basically to apply for your postgraduate work permit. So as soon as you get those documents, sure, you can go ahead and apply for it. Another question I see, is it mandatory that we should submit 3 pay slips when we apply for postgraduate work permit? My co-op ends on April 26th, and I might get my course completion certificate only by the end of June or mid-June. All right. So for postgraduate work permit, as I told you, pay slips is not a requirement. So that's something that you do not require to be submitted with your application. Yeah, hopefully I answered that question. Well, I do see a couple of questions for the spousal open work permit. Spousal open work permit, their requirements are very different from postgraduate work permit. It's basically, I can just tell you, I'm not going to answer all those questions about spousal open work permit. I can just give you an overview. It's basically that spousal open work permit, the spouse needs to The person who is on postgraduate work permit needs to have a full-time employment. That is one of the requirements. They need to have a full-time employment if the spousal open work permit needs to be approved. So pay slips, employment letters, everything is a requirement. And it doesn't have to be it can be any type of jobs. Okay, so I think we have answered most of the questions. So feel free to reach out to us if you have any more questions. We're located in Etobicoke, Ontario, and we can be reached either on WhatsApp or that number, or there is email address as well we have. So please contact us, and we'll be more than happy to help, and hope to meet you all in the next session. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining, all of you. I had a great time. Hopefully the session has been informative.